The vibrant neon sign overhead glowed with a shimmering layer of arcane light, proclaiming an open invitation to anyone who possessed a spark of hidden power. Across the pedestrian avenue, an assortment of stalls spilled over with enchantments and curios, their vendors hawking potions that glimmered like bottled stars. Ophelia Sinclair, a witch whose emerald eyes shone as brightly as her ambition, surveyed the panorama. She had dreamed of this night since she was a child, a grand festival of magic that would unite witches, warlocks, fae, shapeshifters, and even mundane folk in a celebration of the city's hidden wonders. For the first time, it felt like the city itself had embraced the tapestry of sorcery woven through its streets. Standing at the festival's epicenter, Ophelia had been instrumental in persuading city officials to allow an explicitly magical event. She negotiated everything, from safety measures to illusions that would bedazzle but not harm. Pushing a lock of curly hair from her face, she glided between performers demonstrating levitation spells and booths displaying enchanted pastries that fizzled on the tongue. The synergy was exhilarating. Wizards compared wand crafts, fae creatures spun illusions of forest groves, and local children gawked at dancing broomsticks. Yet her senses occasionally pricked with unease. In a corner of the gathering, she caught sight of figures lurking in shadows, their grim demeanors suggesting they did not share in the festive spirit. Amid the swirl of enchanted lights, an older wizard named Tobias waved her over. He manned a stall bristling with glass vials, each containing a swirling wisp of elemental energy. Nodding politely at curious visitors, he praised Ophelia's vision. The city, he said, needed to breathe free after decades of quiet suspicion toward magic. She thanked him, relieved to see old and new practitioners mingling so openly. But even as applause erupted nearby, likely from the conclusion of a mesmerist's act, Ophelia felt a subtle tremor in the wards. She glanced around for the source, trying to pinpoint the pull on her protective spells. For a brief moment, she glimpsed a hooded figure slipping deeper into the crowd. As night fell, lanterns infused with illusions cast kaleidoscopic designs against the buildings. Street musicians, some mundane and some magically augmented, blended genres into a hypnotic rhythm. At the main stage, a coven choir performed a haunting ballad, their voices weaving a tapestry of sound that spoke of eras long past. Ophelia stood by, heart swelling with pride. This was exactly what she had hoped for. Unity among diverse peoples and power. Then, without warning, the lights flickered. One of the protective runes scrawled beneath the stage gutters sparked and went dark. Startled gasps rippled through onlookers. Ophelia's pulse quickened as she realized something, or someone, was tampering with the festival's core enchantments. She knelt beside the stage, brushing her hand over the now defunct rune. Tiny arcs of residual energy prickled her palm. Someone had sabotaged this crucial ward. Her mind raced with questions. Who would want to unravel a festival celebrating magical diversity? She reactivated the rune with a whispered incantation. A flicker of emerald light returned to the etched symbols, stabilizing them. Across the plaza, a group of teenage witches practiced illusions, temporarily oblivious to the threat. Ophelia envied their carefree delight, yet knew she had to intervene before something worse happened. Gritting her teeth, she hurried into the crowd, determined to track the malevolent presence. In a narrow alley adjacent to the festival, she sensed a powerful disturbance emanating from a concealed cluster of glyphs. Pressing her back against the wall, she peered around the corner. A man in a dark coat stood hunched over one of the runic nodes she and her colleagues had placed to funnel mana safely. His wand glowed with a bloody aura, warping the symbol's energy. A single miscalculation could unleash a destructive cascade through every magical booth and performance stage. Summoning her courage, Ophelia extended her wand. But the alley, full of random illusions and swirling motes, blurred her line of sight. She hesitated, weighing the risk of confronting him directly. Before she could act, the man whirled, piercing her with an intense stare. "Stop!" he hissed. Stray sparks danced around him, pulsing with raw, chaotic force. "You and your festival are a dangerous mistake." Ophelia steadied her breath. She recognized the bitterness in his eyes, decades of mistrust. She recalled rumors of a faction that believed magic should remain hidden, that revealing their gifts would only stoke fear and oppression. If he succeeded in sabotaging this event, the city's newborn acceptance might vanish. Holding her wand firmly, she dared a step forward. People want to live without fear. Why destroy that? She challenged, voice trembling but resolute. The intruder's face twisted. You think acceptance lasts? I lived through crackdowns when witches were arrested for disturbing the peace. They want spectacle now, but tomorrow they'll want us gone again. He lifted his wand, arcs of red electricity dancing around his fingers. Ophelia braced herself, channeling the festival wards into a protective barrier. The resulting clash of energy sizzled, momentarily illuminating the alley in glaring red and green. Sparks rained onto cobblestones, leaving scorch marks. Gasping at the power behind his spell, Ophelia realized he was no novice. She also sensed the sabotage in progress. The wards flickered ominously, close to collapsing under the strain. Her mind whirred, searching for a solution. If the protective lattice broke, magical chaos could surge uncontrolled, harming participants and fueling anti-magic sentiments. She needed to sever his link to the runic grid. Taking a calculated risk, she layered a stasis charm over the portion of the glyph he had corrupted. It crackled, nearly backfiring, but finally stabilized. The man snorted and fired a barrage of crimson bolts. She dove behind a stack of wooden crates, her pulse drumming like thunder in her ears. At that moment, Eliana, a fae friend with gossamer wings that shimmered like moonlit glass, glided into the alley. At Ophelia's frantic gesture, she flung a wave of soothing green magic, interrupting the attacker's volley. Together they advanced, driving him away from the compromised room. Eliana's fae glamours created vivid illusions, roaring lions made of stardust and thorny vines weaving across the alley floor. Distracted, the saboteur lurched backward. Ophelia seized the moment. She poured her energy into a sealing incantation, forcing shut the glyph's corrupted channel. The possibility of catastrophic overload faded as the runic lines dimmed to a harmless glow. Frustration etched itself into the man's features. With a final, hateful glare, he cast a smokescreen spell, enveloping the alley in swirling black fog. By the time it cleared, he was gone. Heart pounding, Ophelia exchanged a worried glance with Eliana. This was only the beginning, she suspected. Back in the main square, the festival continued, largely unaware of the danger. Gleaming illusions danced overhead, dragons wrought from moonlight, chasing phoenixes shaped from sunbeams. Children squealed in delight at a booth offering color-changing cotton candy. Yet Ophelia's sense of dread grew. She and Eliana strolled quickly past cheering crowds, scanning for more signs of sabotage. They spotted faint disruptions in the decorative illusions, unnatural flickers that suggested tampering with the underlying spells. A subtle wave of panic pressed against Ophelia's chest. Determined to protect the community she cherished, she coaxed Eliana to alert a few trusted allies in the Magical Council while she investigated further. Eventually, news of potential trouble trickled through the festival. A handful of witches corralled the unsuspecting into open courtyards, where they erected temporary wards against any stray blasts. Vendors whispered about a robed figure skulking among the stalls, meddling with support runes. Musicians reported sudden surges of dissonant magic interfering with their instruments. In the hush that followed, Ophelia stepped onto the main stage, microphone spell in hand. The music died, and all eyes turned to her. She fought to look composed. Clearing her throat, she gently asked guests to remain calm. Our wards have encountered some difficulties, she said, voice magnified over the hushed crowd, but we're working to keep everyone safe. A ripple of concern passed through them, but nods of understanding followed. Moments later, Eliana reappeared with 2 council members, an elderly witch, Margaret, and a stoic warlock named Darius, both wearing official amulets. Their combined energy swelled, reinforcing the festival wards temporarily. Together, they guided Ophelia to a hidden juncture behind the main stage. Inscribed across a large iron plate was the festival's primary magical conduit, a meticulously crafted mantra that channeled energy from the entire block. If compromised, it could erupt into a catastrophic chain reaction. Kneeling to inspect it, Margot pressed her gnarled hands against the metal, wincing. "He's been here," she whispered. "The spells have been twisted to feed on any sudden spike of mana." Grim determination etched across Darius's face as he looked to Ophelia for direction. She inhaled slowly, searching for a plan. Paralyzing the entire festival was an option, stripping it of magic and returning everything to mundane normalcy. But that would unravel the very purpose of this celebration. On the other hand, continuing as if nothing was wrong threatened the safety of hundreds gathered here. Gently resting her wand's tip on the iron plate, she closed her eyes. Through the wards, she felt the city's magical pulse. Hopeful, curious, brimming with possibility. With Margot and Darius beside her, she channeled spells to cleanse the conduit of sabotage, carefully neutralizing each twisted thread. The process was painstaking, sweat beaded on her brow. At last, the iron plate's glow brightened to a clean, untainted teal. Relief coursed through the trio. Just then, a burst of red lightning streaked across the sky. The saboteur, perched atop a second-floor balcony, aimed his wand at a cluster of festival lanterns. Explosions of color and electricity erupted overhead, sending shards of glass illusions fluttering downward. Screams erupted. Many scrambled for cover, while others, refusing to see their celebration ruined, maintained illusions to protect themselves. Margot and Darius scrambled to shield the crowd from falling debris. Adrenaline shot through Ophelia's veins. She sprinted across the courtyard toward the building. Her goal, draw attention away from the festival's heart so Margot Darius could preserve the wards. High above, the men's silhouette loomed like an omen. She found a narrow fire escape and climbed swiftly. Under the full moon's glow, she confronted him. Crimson sparks crackled around his wand, evidence of potent enchantments. "You won't stop until everyone fears us again," she said, forcing calm into her tone. "But fear only creates a deeper divide," he snarled, hurling a volley of crackling red blasts. Ophelia responded with wards that twisted like swirling ribbons of light, absorbing some strikes and deflecting others. The balcony rattled beneath their confrontation. Below, the festival's illusions undulated, the crowd's collective gasp reverberating through the night air. If she couldn't end this now, his sabotage would taint every hopeful bond the festival had forged. Drawing upon her devotion to unity, Ophelia mustered a final incantation. She anchored her magic in the protective wards she'd woven for the festival, sensing the faint but steadfast currents of camaraderie swirling through the streets. A radiant wave of golden light burst from her wand. The saboteur tried to deflect it, but his wards cracked beneath the pressure. Shock registered in his eyes as he was enveloped in the cascade. Suddenly, red sparks fizzled and the man collapsed to his knees. Ophelia stepped forward, wand still raised, though her voice softened with empathy. "I'm sorry you've been hurt, but this ends now. We deserve a chance to share who we are without shame." Magic resonated in the air, a hush descending as the tension lifted. Margot and Darius arrived, binding the man's abilities so he could do no further harm. Though some festival-goers trembled, the majority breathed sighs of relief, returning to the plaza to salvage what remained of the festivities. With a final threat subdued, Ophelia took a trembling breath and glanced across the street, where illusions once again danced in vibrant arcs. Music and laughter soon resurfaced, tentative at first, but growing stronger, as if to defy the darkness. And so, by night's end, despite the chaos, the festival stood triumphant, a living promise that acceptance and unity, while often fragile, could shine brilliantly in a world too long divided.